I find the Apostle Paul's description of the family, man and wife, their relationship, he says it's a great mystery, and he equates it to Christ and his church. And when I read that, it causes me to understand the great spiritual relationship, that the relationship of marriage, the bond of marriage, the commitment of marriage, and how that it all equates to the work of Christ Jesus on the cross of Calvary, where he gave himself for his beloved bride, the church. And so it's a very, very powerful teaching. And it tells me that this relationship between a man and his wife is so very, very much important that it be strong in the bonds of faith. You see, marriage is not based upon flesh. Marriage is based in the spiritual world. And that's why it's so beautiful when a man and a woman would stand before a minister and say, literally, unto death do us part. We're committed to one another. We're going to raise a family together. And we're going to do it all as it would be as unto the Lord. It becomes very, very spiritual. And so that's why I was saying yesterday on the broadcast, when the Apostle Paul says, husbands, love your wives. Well, why did he have to tell us men to love our wives? We say, well, isn't that just logical? Well, evidently it's not, or he would not have made this point, because he didn't tell the women to love their husbands. He said, obey your husband, but he didn't tell the women to love their husbands, because there is that female intuition, call it what you will, that just kind of leads them that way. But men, we're different. And we are logical thinkers. Oftentimes in our logic, we fail to recognize the spiritual, and to be a person who is led by the Spirit of God. And as the Spirit of God leads us, he brings us to a place where we have a deep and abiding faith, a deep abiding love for God, and a deep abiding love for our mate, for our wives, and of course our children. And to cause us to have a deep spiritual concern concerning the spiritual aspects of their children and their wives and their families, that would cause us to say, hey, I want to cover them with my prayers. I want to make sure that there's spiritual activity taking place in my family in a positive way, to where God is very much involved in the day-to-day activities of my family. And so I pray. And I not only say, well, in my prayer closet, I pray for my family and my wife. No, I join hands with my wife, and we stand together in our objective to live a spiritual life, to demonstrate that before our children. Husbands, love your wives and pray for them. Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.